issue. Okay, does it act like it's working?
Well, it's twirling.
It's twirling. It's all, there we go. Now we're live.
We are live with Tuesday Tips.
All right. Hey, everybody. It's Marcia from Be So Creative. And today, for our Tuesday's Tips and Tricks at 2, we have a very special guest. And they're going to teach you some very important things about your machine. So, if my guest will please come forward here. Yes.
Hey, everybody. So I was asked to do some tips and tricks today, so I'm going to show you a few things that you might not know that applies to everybody's sewing machine. So if we're ready, we'll see what we can do, okay?
Okay, so we're going to give a shout out to Becky because she's running the camera.
That's right.
And so, Izzy, take it away.
Okay. So I've had several things lately where machines have come in, they might sew for a while and then they stop for a while and people rethread their machine and then they say it sews for a while and then things get tangled up. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I actually had come in today that caused that problem. And these are real basic things that a lot of people do not know. So I'm going to show you, hopefully most of you are familiar with, this is what is called a stack wound spool of thread. What that means is that the spool is rolled on smoothly. It's not put on in a crosshatch pattern. This is a cross wound spool of thread. Can you see how it's shaped like a V? There's reasons why you have different spool pins on your machine. Most people don't know why you have a horizontal and a vertical spool pin. But I'm going to show you what the differences are today and show you why these can cause problems. So, first off, on most machines, and especially Bernina's, you get this foam washer. That's in there for a reason. It's not in there to stay in your box. It's in there to go on your machine, and it goes on the spool pin first. If you're using a cross wound, you're going to use your vertical spool pin. You're going to put the foam on first, and then you're going to place your cross wound thread firmly against the foam. That's to prevent thread from getting underneath your spool and getting caught. If that thread gets caught, it's going to cause you stitch issues. Now the next thing that I see a lot of is people will put this little spool cap on even though they've got a big spool of thread. A lot of these spools of thread have rough edges on them and your thread can get caught on here. You always want to use a spool cap that is slightly larger than the spool of thread that you're working with. This allows, let me see if I can get a hold of the thread. This causes the size actually lifts the thread off of the spool and it cannot get caught. So a horizontal spool pin with cross wound thread is designed to come off this way. Now if you use a thread stand and it comes straight up, that's fine also. But here's where we run into the problem. If you put a stack wound spool of thread on here, this thread is designed to roll off. The thread should roll like this. Well, it's really not designed to roll when it's on this. However, most Berninas have this little clip right here. You can hook the thread under that clip and it will cause your spool to roll. So if you want to use this spool pin, this is the way you would do it. If you do this, remember you do not want this on here tight like that so that it won't pull. You have to leave this loose enough that the spool will spin, okay? Now let me tell you what happens. Let me get the thread out of here. I've got a real good example of this. We're gonna use a roll of toilet paper to show you, but if you come off the end of a spool and you're using stack wound thread, eventually this thread will twist. And I'm going to give you a real good example of what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's our toilet paper. This is worth about $100 a roll, so I'm going to be gentle with it. Toilet paper, as you know, is made to roll off. Let's just say that you put this on a spool pin like this, and you came off the end. Whoops, I tore it, just a minute. If you came off the end, look what happens to your toilet paper. See how it twists? See how it's all twisted up? That's exactly what happens to your thread if you use a stack wound spool on a vertical spool pin. So when you use your stack wound, you should always take your foam, put it on the vertical spool pin, and allow it to roll off like this. Typically, you would still use the little thread guide if you've got a Bernina, but if some have it, some don't. And then you would go ahead and thread your machine, and you want this foam under here because that allows it to roll smoothly and again keeps your thread from getting under the spool and getting caught. Because if that thread ever gets underneath here, then it catches and causes tension problems. So just keep that in mind, depending on which kind of thread you're using, that can cause some problems. If this thread twists, what can happen, eventually it twists and twists and twists until it creates a little loop in the thread. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Well, if that loop stays in the thread when it hits the tension disc, it actually will lift the thread out of the tension disc, and then you have a big bird's nest under your fabric. And that's what was happening this morning. Was she would sew 2 or 3 inches, and then she'd get a bird's nest. She would rethread her machine, and she could sew 2 or 3 inches, and she would get a bird's nest. We rethreaded the machine properly, and we sewed and sewed and sewed, and no bird's nests at all. And all it was due to how the threading was done on the machine.
Cherry has a question for you, and she says, do you need a cap on the upright spool?
No, not necessarily. So long as the thread's rolling off smoothly, usually you don't have a problem with the upright spool pin. Now there is some question as to when you use a thread stand. Okay, so you're using a thread stand and you're using stack wound. Well, that's going to twist just like we were saying before, and you're doing the same thing this way as you would. So there is some question as to whether you should use a stack wound spool on a thread stand or not. They're really designed for cross wound. I have actually mounted them on the stand this way. You can actually buy a spool pin that clamps on, and you can clamp them on the side, and then it will roll off, go up through your stand and back to your machine. And that's the preferred way. Okay? So just a little tip on threading and the fact that can cause issues. And I had a lady bring in her machine this morning just for that reason, and it was strictly a threading issue. So believe it or not, those things can cause problems. A lot of times we don't think to look up here where the spools are, and if a thread gets caught underneath, then all of a sudden it's pulling your bobbin thread to the top. That's because that thread gets looped around and underneath the spool, and it adds upper tension. So therefore, you need to really pay attention right at the beginning as to how you're threading your machine.
So would you review just like cross wound here?
Yeah, just do it one more time
Okay.
so Rebecca can get another
Okay.
shot.
So remember, stack wound needs to roll off smoothly, okay? Now, usually you would use a stack wound on the vertical spool pin so that it rolls like this. If you have a Bernina with the clip in it, you can put it on here and run it under the clip right there, and see, now it's going to roll off, which is fine, okay? Now on a cross wound, you really don't ever want, I think you can use a cross wound both ways. I think you can let the cross wound roll, but it's actually designed, cross wound thread is designed to come off of the end of the spool. You always want a spool cap that's a little larger than the spool of thread, and that will come off very smoothly with no resistance, okay?
Cherry has a question. What about isocord thread on a spool stand like we use for embroidery?
Yes, the isocord is cross wound, and you can use it on a spool stand just the way it is.
Okay.
So any cross wound can go on the spool stand going straight up. That's fine, because anything that's cross wound is designed to come off of the end of the spool. Okay? All right, I've got just a couple other things, just quick little things that still have to do with thread. Most of you know, especially if you've been in any of my classes, that we do not pull our thread out backwards when we unthread our machine, because it can cause problems with the check spring and different things. But a lot of you don't know that you really should not pull the thread out of your bobbin backwards. So I guarantee you 99% of you take this like this. Can we see that?
Yep.
Got your bobbin.
Perfect.
All right, and you pull it out just like that every time.
Yep.
Now, what I'm going to tell you is 99.9% of the time, you'll never have a problem. But if, okay, I'm going to thread this bobbin. I'm going to put it back. This is an older Bernina bobbin. I'm going to thread the bobbin. If you ever get a little knot or you get something twist, you know how thread does weird things. Let's just say that this thread, I'm going to see if I can twist this up. And you pull this backwards and you pull that in underneath that spring, and I don't know that it's going to pull through there, but if you were to pull that twisted piece back into under your spring, see how I just did that? Can you see that, Becky?
Yeah.
Can you guys see that?
Hold still for just a second, because it's
got glare.
Yeah, it may be hard to see, but there's a twist in there. If I pull that back in there, it's almost knotting up now. If that gets caught under there and breaks off, and it stays under that spring, the next bobbin you put in there is not going to have any tension on it, and your thread's going to be messed up. So here's a way, there's two ways you can do it, because I know all of you hate to clip off an inch of thread and throw it away. So we don't want to waste that thread. But we'd rather drive from El Paso to see Izzy. So here's what you do. You have two options. You take the bobbin out, you cut it off right here, and you pull your thread out forward. But you don't have to do that. You just take your bobbin out. Hopefully you all can see this. You put the thread right back into the same groove. Can you see that?
It just needs to focus for a second. There.
I know this is probably a little hard to see.
It's so shiny.
So you put it in the same groove just like you were threading it, and then you can just pull your thread out like this. You don't cut any thread, and actually if there's anything under that spring, it will pull it out, okay? So I don't know if any of you had ever seen that done before.
You want to show them one more time?
You know what? I'm going to do it with a 7 series bobbin case. Maybe we can see it better. This one's a little bigger. Can we see that pretty good?
If it just needs a moment to focus is what I
Okay.
think it needs to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're
There we go. There we go.
we're going to take our bobbin out. You can do like you always do. You can pull this back like that, and most of you will still continue to do that, I know. But or you can, when you thread your bobbin, okay, we all know you put it in the groove, and then you pull it under the spring, and you clip it in, right? Can everybody see that? That it's in?
There we go, Becky. Yeah, got it.
Okay. So here's what you do. This one's bigger, so I'm hoping you can see it better. You take your bobbin out like this. Can you see? Are my
Yes,
fingers
perfect.
in the way?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, take your bobbin out. Take the thread, put it right back in the same groove that you thread your, and see that? You pull it, and then you just pull it straight forward like this and
It
out.
slides out.
Okay?
Look at the thread, you'll see.
And you'll save an inch of thread every time.
And
And-
Marla said terrific tips.
And in about 15 years, you'll save a spool of thread. So,
Okay,
So-
Eileen made the comment that the 880 does not have a horizontal spool.
the 880 has only well, they're vertical, but the spools stand up on end. It has the thread stand. So on her machine, on the 880, hold on.
And it has a guide.
Let me see, I've got one.
Hold on.
I disappeared, but I'll be back.
He'll be back. Izzy, do you want me to lift that?
I'm not going to lift it.
All right. Oh, that's right. We can undo something.
Okay, Eileen, just for you. Okay, you've got your thread stand on your 8 series. Can you see that? If you're using cross-wound thread, you have no issues. You just come straight up. You're coming off the end just like you're supposed to.
That's not the crosswound. That's the
Oh,
stack.
I'm sorry. Grabbed the wrong color. So this is the crosswound. So you're going to come right up off the end. You're going to put it through your stand. It's going to come off the end, no problems. It's just as long as it's coming off the end. But now you've got a stack wound, so what do? That's what this little guide, some of them look like this, some of them have a hole through here. You put your spool in, you run the thread through the hole like this, and then you come up to your thread guide, and now what happens?
Look at that.
It's rolling it's rolling, see it?
Perfect.
So it's designed to use either type of spool
That's
on
perfect.
this, okay?
All right, thank you. That's great.
Okay. Let me see. Whoop, I just lost everything. All right, I have one more, and I know I've shown, I'm going to switch machines here. I know I've shown this in class, but for those of you who have some of the, not the old machines, but machines like 200, 730, 440, 630, all of that vintage machine, they had a little metal clip on the, would you get me a straight pin?
The straight pin?
Mm-hmm. They had a little metal clip on the take-up lever, and it's right here. I don't know, I think you can see that. We tried it earlier.
Yeah, you can see
You
it.
see the take-up lever?
Good.
See, it's right.
Point at it.
It's right. Well, let me use my pen. Right here, this is the take-up lever, okay? See it? So what happens a lot of times, people get a little speedy threading their machines, and I know Eileen would never do anything speedy, but She's probably someone that doesn't do anything slow. So I'm just going to show you what happens sometimes with these machines. So you raise your foot up, you come down, you thread your machine. I've got the wrong spool of thread on there, but that's okay. We're not going to show you that. It's designed, if you can see this, it's designed to go in on the right side of the take-up lever.
That looks good, Becky.
And then when you come back out, it goes right in between the metal and goes right into the hole. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now, I'm going to unthread it, and I'm not going to pull it backwards because you all will yell at me. So we're going to get it out of the spring. Okay? So this is what happens. People get a little fast. They come down here, they come around here, and they go in on the left side. It goes behind this metal plate. Can you all see that? Can you see that?
Give it a minute to...
So you go in on the left side of it instead of the right side. You think that you're okay.
There we go, perfect. Becky.
But what happens is, all of a sudden, now, your thread gets jammed in here. See, it doesn't want to pull because it's not in that eye. So you pull on it even harder, and now you've got that little broken thread in there. Can you all see that?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
And then you're trying to get that out of there, and you pull on it, and it breaks off. And so here's my tip. Take your thread, take a straight pin, and you push it in between the little metal plate and the take-up lever, and now the thread will come right out of there.
Oh, well,
And you take the pin out, and you don't have any broken threads in there. I don't want you to use a screwdriver or anything like that. Just a pin opens it up just enough. And I don't know if you can maybe...
That looks really, that's perfect.
So see here? See how that opens that up?
Oh, yeah.
It just opens it just enough that it gets that thread out of the bind, and then you can pull it out, and you're not going to leave little broken pieces of thread in there, okay?
Love it.
And I know if you've been in my classes, you've seen this, but I just wanted to, some of you might not have, and I wanted you to see this. Most of the newer machines, the take-up lever has been redesigned, and that is no longer an issue. But there are a lot of these machines still out there, a lot of 440s, 630s, 730s. They all have this metal plate on there. And so just keep it in mind that you can just slide that straight pin in there and lift your thread out, no problems. Okay? So that's my tips. I think I'm done. I'm going to let Marcia go from here.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Oh, here, we'll just do it here.
You gonna do it over there?
Yeah, that seems good. Okay, so did y'all learn something good from Izzy? Yes, because he gave some really great tips, and it's stuff that I was really glad that he was willing to share this with us, because it just so happened that today we had two people that had the same issue, and so he was already planning to do this, so we're really happy that he did it for us. So I hope y'all learned something. And for those of you who have friends that sew all the time and maybe they have some issues, please share this video with them and say, hey, you need to watch this, because these were great tips, especially with the different stack wound and cross wound thread. Super important. So what I'm going to do is we got in some more boxes, and so I just had to I'm showing you what we're opening, a couple of boxes. I hope y'all are all right with that. So Becky, I'm going to move these real quick because I'm going to put at least that
We're gonna start up here on the box.
because that one is too big.
Well, we can go to it.
Yeah, we can go to it because it's a big one. Okay, so new box. Okay, this one, yeah, we got quite a bit of stuff in today. So this one is Kimberbell. So I don't know what's in this one, but we're going to find out. Because, you know, I don't know if you all realize this, but they have some of their patterns we get just like on an auto ship. And so this must be one of our auto ships. All right, so, okay, let me put that here. Oh, good. This is the new Take a Peek. Can you see that, Becky? Can you see that okay? Take a Peek zipper pouches. And the fun thing about this is this works in conjunction with, oh my goodness, the vinyl. The colored vinyl. Oh my gosh. Let's see what, oh how cute. So we've got all these different colored vinyls. So there's, I don't know, like maybe 3 or 4 pinks. Maybe this is a red. Oh my. That looks like peach. I wonder what color that is.
Those are candy.
Peach. Oh yeah, sweet as candy colored vinyl. Look how cute. All right, so these are, there's the different little projects evidently that are in the little zipper pouch. Super cute. All right, well, I can hardly wait. We gotta try those. So let me move that. And then, okay, I don't know, I have not a clue what this is, but it's heavy, so it's got to be fabric. Oh, it is fabric. Rambling Holidays. Okay, well, what in the world? Okay, well, tone on tone white. Can we, let's tear this, Becky, so we can, so it's not glaring at us. All right, that one is, what is that?
It's a,
oh, holly. It's like little holly leaves. Are you all able to see that?
No.
Not very good?
No.
Oh, phew. All right, well, this is little berries. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I don't know, Becky, this is bees. Can you see that one? Can you see the bees? Oh, what is on there?
Not really. Let me see.
Oh, there we go.
Is that any better?
Can you
Not
guys?
really. It just looks dark.
Okay, well, it's all white fabric, so...
Well, I don't know.
Oh, there's little snowmen here, too. So, okay, girls, well, that's okay. I'm excited, because we all got to have, you know, little tone-on-tone stuff. And then, Becky, let's go to this great big box. I have not a clue about this guy, but he's a big old box. Oh, how pretty. All right. Oh, my goodness. Well, these are fun. These are all solids. This is Free Spirit Designer Solids. So we have blue, like a royal, red, purple. That color is actually, what's it called? Splash.
It doesn't look very purple.
It doesn't look very purple.
No, it
is.
doesn't.
Well, this lighting is not so good. This one is iris, so that's pretty, kind of a periwinkle. Well, oh goodness, looky here, we have another. Oh, this is a dark purple. This is Diva. So there we go. So if you have a diva tendency, you might want some of that purple. Well, see, and the thing is that this is shiny. Are we seeing colors, Becky?
Well,
Are people not very good?
Not real good.
This is navy. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is terrible. Well, here, you gotta
Beautiful
look.
anyway.
They are really pretty, ladies, just saying. This one, oh, I love this one. This one is Aegean. Now look how pretty that is. That, well, bummer. These are hard to see, these colors. And a white. I don't need to show you white. So, anyway, all right. Well, ladies, that is it for today. I hope you all have had a lovely morning, gotten some sewing done, and I really hope that you learned some good tips from Izzy. I know that there were a couple of things that I learned today. I had no idea that on the 880 you could use a stack wound with that little hole there on the side. Fabulous. I love that. So anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we will plan on seeing you Saturday morning at 8:30 for sure, if not before. So y'all have a great rest of your day, and we love you and we appreciate you, and thanks for joining us today. Okay,